Hey guys, this is Adam from Glitch Buddies. And before we get started with today's episode, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Dubby Energy. Dubby's got one simple mission: be better. Founder Anthony wanted to create an energy drink without the jitters or crash. So there's no sugar, no artificial colors, and no dyes. And in his words, no BS. They started with one flavor, and now they've got over 15 unique flavors, from cherry limeade to sour blue raspberry. Dubby also collaborates with popular animes like Chainsaw Man and Frieren Beyond Journey's End. Head on over to www.dubby.gg and use the code GLITCHCAST, all caps, no spaces, for 10% off your order. Thanks for the support, and let's jump into today's episode. Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of Glitchcast, in which we revisit the shows that raised us and realize they were even better than we knew. On this episode, I'm joined by my friend and yours, Glitch Girl Kate.
Hey,
Kate,
yo.
say hello.
Hey, yo.
So, I want to talk a little bit about this topic, okay? So you and I, growing up, were avid cartoon watchers.
Absolutely.
We've talked about that. We bonded over that a little bit. But we can both agree, too, that a lot of the cartoons we watched as kids have a lot more depth to them than we realized as kids.
Oh, definitely.
And so today I want to revisit some of our top picks in cartoons, ones that even now as adults we might still give a watch here and there. I think this topic can get a little bit deep, so I'm not going to issue any kind of like trigger warning because there's really not. But I do think this is one of those topics that it's a little bit less whimsical and more thought-provoking.
Yeah.
In some regards. So, yeah. Here's what I want to do. I'm going to start by just kind of talking about my top choice. I'm going to walk my way through why I feel like this is such a meaningful show. And I know in some of my notes that I took, I tried to relate a little bit to the show, like some of my experiences to the show. So feel free to chime in if you want to add on or anything like that. So I'll kick this off with Adventure Time.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. To this date, still one of my favorite shows. I think I've mentioned that in a previous episode, maybe two. And I like it because at the age I was when it first came out, I was pretty young. I think I might have been like 11 years old. So kind of right in the pocket for that show. Okay. My cousin and I used to watch it together. Anytime we'd go stay at my grandma's or visit each other, whenever he'd come over to hang out or stay the night or the weekend or something, we'd always end up watching Adventure Time. And I like it because it's a very lighthearted kind of whimsical take on some pretty heavy issues.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, it is lore rich.
I remember like the first season in particular. I was one of those that like kind of watched pockets of Adventure Time. It was like when it was on, I would watch it. But I even realized like I think a little bit when I was younger, but definitely now that like season 1 was kind of like, look, it's a goofy adventure cartoon.
Exactly.
And then it was like, as it went, it was like, oh, this is much deeper than anybody realized.
I mean, even in the opening sequence, there's like an unexploded nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
You know, that you just glance right by. And yeah, I mean, that's almost exactly what I wrote here. Season 1, just lighthearted, whimsical take on life. But you know, the further you get into season 1, you start asking those questions like, you know what? Where did this boy Finn come from? And why can his dog / best friend Jake like stretch and talk? And so you get all the way through season 1 and you're kind of like, well, now I have more questions than I have answers. But maybe that's the goal of the show.
Isn't Finn like the only human? Like that's like the realization you start to hit like first season is you're like, wait a second, like he is the only.
Yeah, you do kind of think that, but I guess we're way past spoilers at this point because that's
spoilers if you want to watch Adventure Time.
But no, he's not.
Yeah.
There are more humans. Season 2 is when they start like amping up and kind of asking the questions along with us. Like Finn starts to go, where am I from? I think season 2, if I remember, it introduces Susan Strong. So if you watched Pockets, you probably saw the Susan Strong episode. That one I just remember airing over and over and over again. Anytime they needed filler, it was always the Susan Strong episode. And that got Finn thinking, like, are there more humans? And so I think that season 2 did a good job at coaxing viewers who maybe weren't asking those questions at the end of season 1 into beginning to think, oh, there might be a little more depth to this show. Season 3, I think it kind of deviates a little bit, but instead of asking like big, deep questions about the lore of that world specifically, it really like zooms in on Finn and kind of his growing pains. So, right off the bat, I think it's like, I don't remember. I should have taken a note of this. Maybe like episode 3 or 4 of the 3rd season. Princess Bubblegum gets injured and she gets turned back from like an older girl to someone Finn's age. She gets turned into a child. And, they kind of explore that. And that kind of hits because, we've all had, whether you admit it or not, at some point you've had a friend who becomes like a little more than a friend to you.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we have all had a little bit of that excitement in our life, like finding someone you really, really vibe with. And, that turns into a crush and, sometimes a relationship, other times not. And you get to watch Finn kind of go through that as, by that point, it's well established he has big feelings for Princess Bubblegum.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, like right off the bat in season 1, you get that vibe. If he doesn't just outright say it. But in season 3, you kind of see her reciprocate that a little bit while she's a child. But of course, she gets reverted back to her original age and pretty much rejects Finn almost instantly.
Yeah.
But that sets up for the introduction of one of my favorite characters in the series, which is Flame Princess.
I was going to say, is it Flame Princess? Because I like, that is the one era of Adventure Time that I remember distinctly.
Yeah.
Was like kind of that era where it was like Bubblegum had rejected him.
Yeah.
And then it was like Flame Princess came along and like kind of the like aspects of looking into relationships and stuff like that, especially Jake, the ladder. No, the tier system. Don't go to tier 13 or whatever it was.
Yeah, you stay away from that. And that was a good metaphor too, I think, for wise choices. When you start to, the viewers were aging right along with the show. And a lot of them were starting to experience the same feelings Finn was. And, I think that served as a cool tool for like, kids who watched that show and maybe didn't have that kind of guidance to like make wise choices, be safe. They at least had Jake telling you, you stay away from that, whatever that top tier was. It's been so long since I've watched like season 3. I'll admit if I go back and watch it at all, I've got a season that I kind of jump to. And honestly, it's really the season I'm getting ready to talk about next, which, since we're going in order, season 4. And I like this because I tell Natalie, so I got Natalie into watching Adventure Time. She's like, oh, I've never actually seen that show all the way through. And I was like, you know what? That's like a good kind of lighthearted show to sit down and watch, if we have nothing to watch or nothing to do. And so we've started going through all of Adventure Time. And I told her when we got to season 4, it's where things get weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it really starts to deviate from that lighthearted and it starts to deep dive. Like that season 4 marks like a big shift into more serious discussion. Okay. You start to lean more into like the turmoil of growing up and learning about who you are. Okay. And there's some things as an adult watching some of the episodes in season 4, you start to realize are like metaphor for the chemical changes your body goes through when you get to that age. And, the big P.
Yeah.
Puberty.
Yeah.
And all the kind of weird stuff that comes
TMI.
with that. Yeah, TMI. No, I shouldn't say the P word on here. But yeah, the kind of weird stuff that kind of goes along with that. But it also dives into more serious topics like depression, anxiety, desperation. There's an episode I made a special note of here because I remember like watching it. It starts off pretty serious. There's like a holdup. There's a Cookie character who he's got like hostages inside of this building, like a bank, and he's threatening them, and they send Jake in. And I'm like, that's how it starts. Like the episode starts and they've got a hostage situation.
I don't remember this episode at all.
Yeah, it kind of just falls through the cracks, but I remember it because right off the bat, it's serious, but with the Adventure Time whimsy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But without kind of walking all the way through, a lot of times in real life, those hostage situations end one pretty bad way.
Mm-hmm.
And that happens in this episode of Adventure Time. Like they chase the Cookie to like a canyon, and he's got nowhere else left to go. But Jake befriends the Cookie in this whole situation while he's trying to negotiate. They get to know each other. They realize the Cookie, he always wanted to be a princess, right? And everyone laughed and rejected his idea. And Jake was like, you can be a princess. You can do whatever you want. But at this point, the Cookie's kind of, built his doghouse.
Yeah.
And he's going to have to figure out how to sleep in it, except when, when someone like that gets cornered, they don't choose the easiest route.
Right.
So Princess Cookie like throws himself into this canyon, like off of the cliff. Jeez. And you're like, oh, okay, this isn't going to show it. It's a kid's cartoon. No, they show Princess Cookie at the end, like shattered into, 20 different pieces. Now, again, whimsy, it kind of brings it back.
Right.
Princess Cookie gets like bandaged back together and it shows
Humpty Dumpty style.
a little bit. Yeah. But that's not the part that stuck with me because, in real life, when someone tries to harm themselves repeatedly, oftentimes they go to like a psychiatric ward. And that's where Princess Cookie ends the episode, is in a psychiatric ward. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In a straitjacket, kind of playing a game with like his little chocolate chip friends. And then Jake comes in and gives him a little gift, like a crown to put on his head so he can be a princess.
That's wild.
It is kind of whack. Yeah. But I don't want to go through any more of the seasons because like we could just be here, for an hour alone doing that. But like the show keeps developing and keeps deep diving and getting into like the dark nitty gritty. And I mean, I'd be ashamed of myself if I didn't mention Marceline, who became like a fan favorite character. So in one of the seasons, like maybe season 7 or 8, there's like a 6 or 7 episode special that's just about Marceline. And deep diving into who Marceline is and how Marceline became the vampire queen. And
that's, again, I only know vague details of that one.
Yeah.
And I guess, again, other like quote unquote spoiler if you want to watch Adventure Time. It's like the one thing I do know is like Ice King is not like, he wasn't always crazy.
Yeah, Simon Petrikov.
Yeah. And I think they're exploring that too with the whole like Fiona and Cake series, which I think is interesting.
Excellent continuation.
Yeah.
Because that's aimed for adults.
Right.
Like and the kids who grew up from
this cartoon grew up with the people that watched it.
And Fiona's like a lot more intense. Have you watched any of that?
I've seen bits and pieces of it. And I have seen that it's like a little curses, more intense.
Yeah, she like curses in it.
Yeah.
I mean, which I wouldn't say that's the definition of making something adult, but like that does give a pretty good indicator. It's aimed at us who are grown up now.
Right.
But I love this show because it really helped me ignite kind of an excitement to explore the world around me when I was younger. It also like kicked off some serious soul searching for me.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it would suffice to say if we could go back in time and you could just observe high school age me, not the same person in front of me. I would not be doing this. We probably would not be friends because you're pretty social and I was not. I wanted nothing to do with being social. There we go. I was making sure my mic was still on. I wanted nothing to do with being social when I was back in high school. But, I learned that that's not a way to make friends. And so I needed to grow out of that. And so I kind of forced myself out of that. But it also showed me things don't always go as planned.
Right.
the whole first like 2 seasons set Finn up to eventually, you think it's going to do that cartoon ploy where he does something to rescue Princess Bubblegum and she falls in love with him and, he wins her at the end, but that doesn't happen. I mean, at one point, there's even a pretty serious thing, again, something a lot of us have experienced where, and I say this from like a male perspective, okay? You have a crush on a girl, and she does not like you. She rejects you, all these things. And then so you finally come to terms with that and you start dating someone else. Well, guess what girl number 1 does? She comes around and she goes, hey, don't date them. I don't like them. Princess Bubblegum does that to Finn. And he stands up for himself and he says, I liked you. I was in love with you and you didn't like me back. And now I found somebody and you're making me confused and angry.
Right.
And he like stands up for himself. And that's something like a lot of people, I said it from the male perspective. I'm sure there's a lot of like girls who go through the same thing, but at that point, it's good to stand up for yourself and to not just kind of go back into that manipulation.
Right.
And a kid's show hit on that.
I remember the other thing with Adventure Time that kind of hits into the other, like some of the other episodes I know have been recorded and stuff like that. The music. And I remember in particular, there was a song like with one of those episodes where Finn was like really down and out about Bubblegum, like not like reciprocating love.
Yeah.
And I cannot remember the name of it, saved my life. But I remember I used to listen to that song on repeat.
Yeah.
When I was little, because it was so catchy. But it's like, then you realize like, oh, this is like about a really rough time.
Yeah, no kidding. And, and then of course he gets with Flame Princess and you think, okay, good. He got somebody. Doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. He does not end up with Flame Princess. And I don't want to say who, because since Fiona and Cake is still relevant and there's a pretty big continuation of Finn's life in that, I was surprised at who Finn ends up with.
Yeah.
Like a complete non-character for the bulk of the show until like the last 2 seasons. And then all of a sudden this character kind of, which is crazy because this character, do you know who I'm talking about? I don't want to spoil it.
Maybe.
Okay, I won't spoil it, but is a complete background character, like someone who just walks across in one random frame of the screen at like season 3.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden just at the end is like a major player in Finn's life.
Okay.
And I'm like, holy cow. The way they did that was like, it wasn't forced either. It was just kind of like masterful. And there's this theory, the 3 loves theory. Your first love is, it doesn't work out. Your second love is the one that it like burns bright, but leaves you brokenhearted. And your third love is the one you learned from.
Right.
And you kindle that and it requires work, but you know how to do the work. So it's the one that lasts. And again, Adventure Time hit on that. A kid's show.
Well, and I would even say like the aspects of Flame Princess.
Yeah.
Like, because that's the one episode I remember in particular was Finn trying to like get their relationship to work out. And like the, again, kind of whimsical kids version of it, but essentially addressing the topics of like, toxicity in relationships and like, and that sometimes you really want something to work out and it just doesn't. With him, like, I remember in particular in that episode, it was like he kept trying to kiss her and he would burn his lips.
Yeah.
Because it just didn't because she's made of flame is the whimsical, but like it addresses the whole like toxic nature of things that again, little me would have been like, oh, it's because she's made of fire.
Exactly.
Adult me is like, oh, this is a whole like.
Yeah, for real. You're like, this is depth. And the fact that like here's another layer. She's been manipulated by her dad since her birth to, be convinced she's evil at the core, and she goes through this metamorphosis of like, well, I don't have to be that way. And that's cool because again, not like a main character. I mean, she gets pretty close to being in the main lineup. In several episodes revolve around her and her existence and relationship to Finn, but like to see a side character get some major plot development is awesome. And I think Adventure Time did a lot of that right. Because then you saw the continuity in later episodes, but it didn't interrupt the show. No. If that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
So, but yeah, sorry. That was my first topic. So lead me through your first one.
So I'm trying to think. I have a few different to mention, but I think kind of going along with some deeper discussions and stuff like that then can be had, but also mentioning a kind of, I don't know if this is a niche cartoon or not. It was on Nickelodeon, and I don't know if many people saw it or not, but I watched like literally all of it when I was little. El Tigre.
I did watch that.
I loved me some El Tigre.
El Tigre.
And again, so there's kind of two different aspects of that cartoon for me that, like, when I think back to it, I was like, oh, this was just like good fun, that then I can look back and actually be like, well, there was an impact on like adult me through this cartoon. The bigger discussion we'll say for after, but the first I will say is growing up in a small rural community and not really having many outlets of like cultural like view and stuff like that. This cartoon was one of those first kind of like, oh, like, you know, specifically I'm remembering like the episode that was the Day of the Dead like episode, and like how different cultures view different things and things like that, that like was really, I think, impactful, that I didn't realize whenever I was little. It was just like, oh, this is just how Manny lives his life kind of thing. But the main like topic, I think, of all of that I think about is the topic of good and evil, and how the entire show is balancing like his dad that is the good guy and his grandpa that's the bad guy. And like, I think the complexities of that, like how you can fall in between being good and bad, but you also can do bad things for a good reason and do good things for a bad reason. And it's like every single episode had different variations of that. That I also think like was interesting, because like his dad would be really disappointed in him whenever like he would do something bad, but at the same time, like he had good intentions doing it, or like different things like that. And that's the first thing I just think of with that show in particular, is like, you know, again, little me was just like, oh yeah, he's, you know, he's doing something he's not supposed to, or, you know, all these different things, when in comparison it was like, hey, sometimes, you know, like I just said, you do bad things for good reasons, or, you know. And I think if I remember correctly, how that show did like actually have an ending, because I'm also remembering a lot of my cartoon shows that I have listed and everything, a lot of them got canceled, which is unfortunate, that it's like, you think about like it never actually ended or it ended quickly because they got canceled. I'm pretty sure that one ended with just Manny did his own thing. Like there was an aspect of like he could be good or he could be bad, and he was being put in a situation where he had to choose. And like, if I remember correctly, he ended up like choosing his friend, like Frida, that I think there was a romance arc there, I think.
Maybe like subtle. But
that it ended up being like the moral gray area of like being in between. And that was whenever we had talking about this topic, it was one of the first ones that came to my head of like, oh yeah, this seems like good fun until you actually look at it as an adult and you're like, oh yeah, good and bad. Like, what even is that?
No, really. And then there's a whole nother like philosophy to that. Like, can you have one without the other?
Right.
No, I mean, without bad, what is good? It's just the standard.
Well, and it's even, again, the names and everything, making it fun and everything. Puma Loco. And I don't remember what his dad's like superhero name was. I know it was Rodolfo was his dad, but I can't remember.
I don't remember. Do you remember the show Nacho Libre?
Yes.
Okay. In my head, this may be completely wrong. I'm pretty sure the creators of Nacho Libre created El Tigre.
Maybe.
But I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. And honestly, I don't want to look it up right now. But I don't know. In my head, they are related somehow. And so let me know in the comments if that's right or wrong. But do it nicely. Don't
be mean. Positivity.
But, you know, I didn't watch El Tigre a lot. I think it was one of those shows for me, if it was on and there was nothing else, then I would watch it. That wasn't to say I didn't like it. I just, I mean, you know me, the way my brain operates is like, I feel like a lot of times I need pretty constant stimulation, and that wasn't on my like A lineup of shows, but I do have a few episodes. I can't tell you any specifics other than like, I remember the costume. And that's about it.
I had a phase of time in my childhood where I was obsessed. Like I remember active like pool parties where it was like, I am El Tigre. Like this is,
you were instead of mermaids.
Yes.
You're like, you want to
I was that weird kid.
You want to play El Tigre with me?
Right. And they're like, what is that?
Well, it goes into like this 45-minute long synopsis.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one of the first ones I thought of that was just a deeper.
I love the lessons that come with a lot of these shows. You know, every show has like, well, I think a lot of new cartoons don't. I think maybe that's what's missing. If you watch a lot of new ones, not to knock any creators or anything like that, because there is definitely a creative aspect to a lot of newer cartoons and kids shows and stuff. But a lot of them are missing that depth, that like there's a moral, you know, and there is this mindset that sure, it's a cartoon, like make it just for fun. But like part of what gave those cartoons meaning to us growing up were the morals, you know? So my nephews, I don't know so much now that they're getting older, but they used to really love Bluey.
Yeah.
And I've read somewhere that the creators put things in there that they know the parents are going to sit and watch with the kids for hours on it.
Right.
So there's some things in there for the parents to enjoy too. But Bluey, I would say, you know, having watched a few episodes with my nephews, is one show that still kind of does that. Now, granted, it's not aimed at like, you know, your 10 to 15-year-old kids like the cartoons we've kind of talked about are. Right. It's, you know, it's definitely aimed at more like toddler to 7 years old or 6 years old or something like that, you know. But
no, but I'd agree. It does
it right.
Like Bluey has a weird, like not weird, but like interesting balance of like, yes, this is a kid show and like kids enjoy it, but they also know like the age group they're targeting. Like your parents are probably sitting there with you.
They're going to be watching too.
And there is active, like, again, I don't sit down and watch Bluey. I don't really have a reason to.
Sure.
But I've seen like clips online and stuff like that are actively like, oh, this is exploring like all of these different themes when it comes to adulthood. And even like what I think is really interesting with that is like parenting. Like saying like, hey, you're not going to be a perfect parent. Like, look, here's, you know, Bandit like doing this. And like that wasn't, you know, the right thing to do. But like he does know like he can go and apologize to his kids. Or I think it's really, I mean, like complete sidetrack, but that show is like awesome for what it does. I will add to what you said, sneak in another like short cartoon that I listed on there because I swear it's relevant. SpongeBob SquarePants.
Oh yeah.
And the reason I say that is I think it was awesome, like back in my day and your day and things like that. I think now
back in the olden times,
I think it has fallen into that category where now it's in that, like, it's almost mindless.
Exactly.
And I hate it because it used to be like one of those cartoons that I think like, I don't know if it necessarily had like super emotional impact, like Adventure Time and things like that. I think there are certain episodes you could say like, you know, with Squidward and stuff like that, you could say, you know, like a, you know, artistically, you know, failing artist, like all these different things. Like there are certain things you could probably pull. But I think the most interesting thing about like the SpongeBob series is just how many generations are connected purely by references.
Exactly.
Like the fact that someone can sit down and say like, is mayonnaise an instrument? And like 5 different people are like, oh my gosh, you watched this show?
Yeah.
Like,
and I would say probably the only reason, obviously you're a little younger than me, so I use the phrase generation loosely, right. But the only reason people our generation know the song, like, what is it? Sweet Victory.
Yeah.
Is because of SpongeBob.
Oh yeah.
And it's a banger.
Yeah.
I remember I watched that episode. Okay. This is going to sound weird. I had a Zune. You know what a Zune is?
No.
Okay. So Zune was Microsoft's answer to the iPod.
Okay.
Now I'm going to say something controversial here. In my opinion, when the Zune touchscreen version came out, way ahead of the iPod Touch.
Okay.
You could do like song sharing to other Zunes that were nearby.
Interesting.
I mean, the games on it were so much better. It did like the subscription service. I'm pretty sure it did it before like Apple Music was a thing. So that's what I did. I paid like $5 a month and could download as many songs as I wanted.
Wild.
But I remember I by the time I had like the Zune Touch, obviously that episode had been out. But I turned it on SpongeBob one day, and that episode came on. I was like, I went on there and downloaded that song.
Oh yeah.
And now it's on my list. Like now that I moved into like Spotify and other music listening apps and stuff like that. My drum set's sitting right next to us in our quote unquote podcast studio.
Right.
That's like one of my go-to like warm up songs whenever I like sit down for like a couple hour long session.
Yeah.
That's one that I start off with. I would have not known that song if not for SpongeBob.
Well, and that's why I've sneak SpongeBob in there to mention that like it might not necessarily have had like deep content or anything. Sure. I think, again, like I said, I'm sure there's some episodes you could look back and say, wow, that was like commentary on this. And that was really deep. Because that was something I think it did well, was commentary on like life and things like that.
I think so. Even as buried as deeply as it would be in that show.
I mean, because
there were certain aspects of, there's a lot of theories that surround SpongeBob that I think the writers built into that.
Right. And I mean, there's even just the simple complexity of like enjoying your job.
Yeah.
That you could pull from like the fact that he just loves working at the Krusty Krab.
I mean, let's be honest here. Okay. When you and I met, the job we were working at, I was Squidward at that job, and you were SpongeBob. You were like social butterfly out there at the desk, like happy to smile and talk to anybody that walked by. And I'm like, unless I have a meeting with you, please stay out of my office.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons that, one of the many reasons that I ended up going away from that was because like, that's no way to live. And you basically, when you're our age and you're in the thick of work, like work life, you're at your job more than your home, which sucks. I hope that changes in the future, but like, if you're going to do something you enjoy.
Right.
And I wasn't for a lot of reasons. That's another topic for another day, because it's more serious than I think this episode's going to get.
Oh, yeah.
But I want to steer us into the next one here. Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Did you ever watch that?
Yes.
Okay, I loved that show. I had a really good friend growing up who we went to elementary school, middle school, and high school together. And in middle school, he got me into that show. It had been out, before. It was just, I'm pretty sure it might have even been over by the time he got me into it, or winding up or something.
Because that was one that got canceled early, wasn't it? It had like one or two seasons.
I think it had like five seasons, but they did wrap it up. It didn't just get shut off. Like they did have kind of a wind up episode.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to name, I'll call him Steve. Okay. Steve. So my friend Steve, which is not his real name, but he got me into the show. And every morning while I was like eating my breakfast, like eating my cereal or my Pop-Tart or toaster strudel or whatever breakfast my mom had made for me, I would sit and watch Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, because it takes me a long time to wake up in the morning. And everyone knows that. Everyone who knows me knows. And I can't drink coffee. So it's not even one of those like goofy, don't talk to me till I've had my coffee thing. It's like, don't talk to me until
I emotionally regulate.
Yeah. And that could take hours. And that's on me. That's a me problem. My mom was aware of that. And she, being like the sweet person that she is, she'd be like, okay, I'm not setting my son up for success if I don't help him out a little bit in the morning. So, when you're in early middle school, like 6th grade, right? That's really the age you start getting your own clothes out, getting your own breakfast, packing your own lunch. My mom was like, that is true for some kids, but not for mine. And now she did transition me into that, down the road. It didn't last like that forever.
What, you mean your mom isn't helping you pick your clothes out today?
No. Honestly, if she did, I would probably have matching attire on. But I go to work. I would go to work at our old job, like wearing completely mismatched clothing.
Yeah.
And that was just okay. But my mom was like, I'm going to make him fashion sensible.
Shout out Adam's mom.
Shout out my mom. But yeah, so like I said, most kids, that would be like setting them up for success later in life. My mom's like, okay, my son, his brain operates a little bit differently. It's not going to help him. So she helped me out. She's like, she would make my breakfast. She would, she'd be like, here's some clothes, and Now all the other things like packing my bag, making sure I was prepped for school, that was on me. Taking my dogs out in the morning was on me. But I would sit and watch Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends while I'd eat my breakfast and while my mom was like moving around the house trying to get herself ready for work, me ready for school, and also like making sure like, you know, my brother wasn't going to say or do anything that would just set me off in the morning. And you know, and then my dad worked 2 jobs at that point. He would work at a farm and then he'd come home and go to his other job. So, you know, he was also busy in the morning. But again, both of them knew like I need to let him sit and watch the show because he's got to like mentally regulate in the morning and emotionally like prepare himself.
That opening theme for that cartoon is iconic. Anytime I hear it.
So I'd go to school and my friend Steve and I would just talk about the episodes for like the first like hour of school. That was my emotional regulation, was watch Foster's, go to school, talk to Steve about Foster's. But it showed a lot of things, right? Like, on the surface, it's just colorful. It's goofy. It's a house full of imaginary friends. It's like every kid. Well, I won't say every kid. So many kids' dreams. Are like to see and live and interact with their imaginary friends. But even like, I mean, and this is like a surface level lesson. It's not even buried. Change is hard. Okay. I mean, getting older means like leaving certain parts of your childhood behind, and the show does a good job at not covering that up with humor. Like that's sad. And the show is just the Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends is like, and that's a sad thing. And we're going to show it to you as a sad thing because that's true and that's real.
Right.
And, you know, but that it also teaches you to embrace those memories that you make. You know, Mac and Blue go on these crazy loony adventures because they're making those memories.
Right.
Madam Foster, in the show, the older lady, she is proof that, you know, you don't have to lose your sense of joy and creativity. You don't ever have to like outgrow that part of yourself. I always make the joke, you know, I'm 31. I make the joke, I'm not going to act 30 till I'm 40. And even then we're going to check in and see if I still have the energy and the time. I might still feel my 20s a little bit, you know? And I kind of, I don't know, not saying I hang on to that from this show specifically, because that's just part of me. But Madam Foster does a good job at that. Cause you know, she's kind of crazy. Like she's fun. She's comedic relief. She's loopy. You know, when things get stale in the show, the writers did a really good job at like, oh, here's Madam Foster. She's going to come in and go, now, come on, everybody, let's go have an adventure, you know, and say something wacky. And
well, and they had a few different characters in that show that were the comedic aspect to like you would have episodes that were really serious, like topics, again, like you said, about
wilt hunting,
about change and things like that. And that then it would be like, okay, this is getting a little heavy. Then like, you know, cheese, like would step in.
But if you watched that show in its entirety, and the reason I can name the episode Good Wilt Hunting was because that was the one that dealt with like wilt, the big red basketball one, with one arm, getting like abused and abandoned.
See, I don't remember that episode.
It was hard to watch. Even as a kid, you're like, wow, that is heavy. And so that would be an episode. I hate to say it, I watched them all. But that one, when it was on, I'd be like, please, anything else. That's not helping me emotionally regulate. It's making me sad. So you mentioned like cheese and goo. And then, you know, Mac and Blue, of course, is the friendship core. Mac is learning to try to be independent and trying to grow up and force himself to mature a little bit, but he still wants to show up for Blue as like a reliable friend. You know, he's the reason Blue is in the world. So if he had to put him in this home, Madam Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, he's going to make sure that he goes in and checks in on Blue every day. And they talk about that in like the first episode. Like the agreement is, you know, Blue can't get adopted as long as Mac comes and visits him every day. Which is, you know, what sets that show up to just always have Mac come back. And I think the thing that stuck with me the most, even if I didn't catch it until I was an adult, was that like every imaginary friend in that show is a reflection of some real life kid's emotional needs. At the very least, it's a kid who needs a friend. and you know, I lived out in the country, and all my friends lived in the city. So that was, and I couldn't drive. You know, my hometown's not huge, but when you can't drive and you're a little kid, you experience a lot of like, you have a good imagination, or you're by yourself.
Right.
You know, and so luckily for me, I was raised in a very creative household. So like, I learned to entertain myself with my creativity, which is one way I really relate to the show, because I couldn't just go see my friends whenever I wanted.
Right.
And my parents they're loving still to this day, and they always have been, but like, they couldn't just drop everything and drive me to one of my friends' houses.
Right.
And that was realistic, and we never had that issue. You know, I never, just by sheer luck, I never expected them to be able to do that. But yeah, you know, each one of those characters exists because a child needs comfort, courage, fun, a friend, something to laugh at. And it kind of taught me to look deeper, you know, put myself in someone else's shoes, right? Someone might be acting a certain way because they're experiencing some sort of sadness or loneliness, and they're trying to get your attention, right?
Right.
And so I became a teacher. You know, I taught for 6 years in public education before kind of moving out of that. But like, I had a lot of compassion for my students because of lessons like this.
Right.
You know, some of my students go home and experience the same loneliness, sadness, lack of output. So I made sure, you know, while they were in my classroom, I was not going to put myself on their list of negativities.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I think that was, I won't say I was the best teacher out there, but I think that was one thing I did really, really well for them.
I think you were.
So, well, you didn't have me in school, so lucky for you. So yeah, walk us through your next couple of choices here.
My next couple choices. I actually am trying to remember one of them that I have on my list. I'm wondering if it's made by the same like studio of people, because it's similar like art style and stuff like that. My Life as a Teenage Robot.
Oh yeah.
They have a similar art style. And again, that's the comments tell me nicely. Don't be mean. If it's the same creator, because they have the same kind of the same art style. But either way, the simple explanation for like My Life as a Teenage Robot for me and like its impact and stuff like that does kind of fall into a category of like, kind of again going into the like TMI, the big P, like puberty, and things like that, along with just like what it kind of means to be a girl or to be a woman. Because in particular, like, you know, she's this robot that's built as like Earth's protector, and like she is
also a teenage girl.
Yeah, she's expected to like be this weapon and like all of these different things, and she just wants to be a teenage girl.
Yeah.
But what I specifically made note of is that's like kind of surface level for me for that show of like what it means to be a teenage girl. But I'm even going to like subvert that a little bit and say it also kind of shows you some of like her role and everything in the show, shows you this is what society kind of expects a normal teenage girl to be like and to go through, but it's okay that you're not that. Like there's like at least 2 or 3 different episodes I can think of off the top of my head where she like tries to disguise herself as a like normal human being and finds that like it's not everything that it's cracked up to be, and that like she is different, and that there isn't any way that she can like be that like normal teenage girl. And that's like the one in particular, like everybody looks at that show and they're like, oh yeah, it teaches you how to be a teenage girl. But I'm like, I think it also multiple episodes showed like it's okay that you're not that normal teenage girl. Like now, I mean, obviously you're not going to be Earth's, you know, protector weapon.
But you have like unique aspects that, you know, you should embrace. Yeah. And yeah, you may not be like this cool blue and silver metal girl, but like, you know,
they're also
personality. You might be a good singer or a good instrument player. Right. You know, embrace that.
Yeah. And I mean, there's also like, there's even some episodes, I think it's one of 2 on my list that I think also really addresses like being a teenage girl and having multiple crushes and having things not work out. Like,
also true.
And what that looks like, kind of dipping into somewhat of what you mentioned with Adventure Time and stuff like that. That there are a bunch of different, there's like, I think like 2 or 3 different love interests for her in that show. And one of them in particular is even like one of her nerdy like best friends that like always fixes her up.
Is his name Sheldon?
Yes.
I
think so.
I think, yeah. But darker hair.
Yeah, he's got darker hair. And he looks the stereotypical like nerd type that like she always is chasing after. Like one of them is even like a robot guy, I think. She's always chasing after these like really cool, like, you know, hot rod looking guys and stuff like that. And like, here's this guy that's always just like been there for her that like, and it's another one of those cartoons, like in saying that, I think like, it targeted itself towards like girls and women and stuff like that. But there were themes for guys in it too. Yeah.
I watched it without shame.
I mean, there were so many themes in it, like with guys and stuff as well. Again, like this like unreciprocated like love between like a ton of the different characters in that show for her that like she's looking over here and they're like, they don't see me. The, you know, the you know, the quote unquote nice guy.
Yeah.
Like,
but really nice guy, not the internet. Well, I'm a nice guy until you reject me.
Right. So, and I think
the modern day nice guy.
I think even doing research for that one in particular, I saw that because that's another one of those shows that I think it ended up getting canceled. Yeah. Like they were able to kind of like tie the knot again, but like it ended up like they wanted to do more. And one of the thought processes was that she would get with that nerdy guy, that like they would end up in a relationship and it just never got to that point because they didn't have enough.
So there was like build up, but
show to get there.
Yeah. So that's a shame. I'm going to go into probably my most important one on this list. Okay. And I mean it. I'll rewatch this several times a year now, even like I just finished the live action version up to where, you know, it's at season 2. So that probably gave it away, but Avatar, The Last Airbender. Yeah. Okay.
That's everybody's.
It means so much to me. I mean, like so much to me. Which is why I said it is possibly one of the most important shows of all time. So surface level, Aang, frozen in an iceberg. He has this huge responsibility to serve a world that thought he disappeared. And because he disappeared when they need him, half the people they come across don't like him. But he still has to take it upon himself to like rebalance, you know, what is unbalanced, which is the overarching plot. The Fire Nation has taken over. Right. Okay. And he has to fix that. That's huge because, you know, we all have burdens and a lot of times they're not fair. They're things that were put on us and decided for us by people who weren't us. And just like Aang, we sometimes just have to grin and bear it. Like we have to put our heads down and just do it. Right. You know, and it's kind of like you said with Teenage Robot. It's not necessarily saving the world, but a lot of times there are sacrifices involved and it's not fair, but you have to do it. Right. You know, but that's the surface level. And I mean, that's already deep. There's also this idea. Okay. And I for obvious reasons, we can't get too into this today. But there's this deeply unsettling parallel to the Fire Nation and other developed countries around the world, other developed civilizations. Yeah. Citizens are raised to believe that their nation is superior and they have some crazy birthright to the rest of the world just because somebody told them that they did. And worse, many of the citizens believe it. Again, just because somebody that they put up on a pedestal said it. Right. For no other reason. So I made this comment in my notes. I said, art kind of imitates life, right? Yeah. But I promised this podcast would stay out of it's like politics,
we won't dig into that. Yeah. Make your own assumptions.
But it is eye-opening. The more you dive into that, you start to realize that there is a stark reminder to stay humble, to embrace differences, right? And remember that superiority is just this synthesized idea. Right. It's a man-made idea. You know, but it's nuts to me that in a world full of so much uniqueness and culture, there is one nation that particularly thinks that there should only be one.
Yeah.
And that culture should be theirs. To me, some of the best experiences I've had in the real life parallel to that were when I traveled and I talked to people in other cultures and learned a little bit and got to kind of bring some of their philosophies back into my daily life. Some of their rest and relaxation techniques, some of their mindfulness, some of their food, and just their day-to-day kind of experience. And I got to bring a version of that back here to our home. And I don't know, there are people out there who are like, no, they're like, I'm not going to do that.
Which is wild.
It's crazy. And there are people in the show like that. There are people in real life like that. And, what's that old saying? Variety is the spice of life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like they're under seasoning their life. They're leaving out variety. And to me, I hate when things are stale and stagnant. So I crave variety. But the biggest part of this show, Uncle Iroh.
Yeah.
Uncle Iroh. Okay. I feel like Uncle Iroh was written to be everybody's uncle.
Oh, absolutely.
And I wish I lived closer to my nephews because I would try to be their Uncle Iroh. Just guide them in ways that, they may need. But some of that sage wisdom he gives Zuko really helped me through some really dark down times.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And I mean, like, I would watch this in college in my dorm room. I watch it now as a 31-year-old man. But the biggest thing that it really pushed me into, that Uncle Iroh's words put me into, right? There's a part in the show where he looks at Zuko and he says, it's time to start asking yourself, who are you? What do you want? In other words, like, reject that narrative that's been pushed onto you and start figuring it out for yourself. So I've started asking myself, maybe a little later in life than, most people do. Most people get to that point in their early 20s. I'm 31 and I've really been asking myself, who am I and what do I want? But there's also 3 quotes I had to write down that really stuck with me from Uncle Iroh. I mean, things that I repeat, and at some point or another, they've been on like some inspirational thing somewhere in our house so that I could see them.
Yeah.
1, good times become good memories, but bad times make good lessons. And I mean, that's true.
Yeah.
You don't always have to take something bad that happened and shy away from it forever. At one point in my life, I remember riding a 3-wheeler, dangerous death machines, and it was like a utility one. So it was huge and bulky. And I went on this trail with it on our property. And there was a big bump in the ground and I flipped it and I darn near probably crushed myself with it. And I was afraid to ride that for a while until my dad was like, get back on it, wear a helmet. And guess what? Don't go that way. That was a bad memory that became a good lesson. Okay. It was almost a bad memory that ended all my memories before it though. But there's also the opposite is true. The good times are good memories. There are things that, when you're in a bad place, you can kind of go like, hey, but I remember this time when this happened. The next quote is, it is important to draw wisdom from many different places. If you take it from only one place, it becomes rigid and stale.
That's a good one.
It goes back to what I just said.
Yeah.
I don't like when things become stale and boring. I need that variety. And a lot of that is those, I mentioned traveling and finding all these new things and culture and being able to bring those back into my daily life, I mean, you can see the shelf behind you. It's kind of a just a menagerie of all kinds of stuff now. But there are things that we brought back from our travels on that shelf. And now they're like permanent decorations in my house because like I like them. They have meaning to me. They have meaning to the culture that I brought them from. And it's not all just like souvenir-y stuff either. Some of it's like daily use items that I'm just like, yeah, okay. they're over there as a decoration for me now, just to remind me of the travels. We have a case out in our living room, in our house it just is, we call it our artifacts from when we traveled.
That's fun.
Yeah. And I mean, that's all that's in there it's just those things like our souvenirs. And again, some of them are touristy things. Others are like lifestyle things that they use in other countries that we're like, let's bring it back. And then the third one, this is one I have to say a lot. Okay. And a lot recently because of some events that you kind of watched me go through. In the darkest times, hope is something you give yourself. And that is the meaning of inner strength. Because to me, that alone reflects like just not letting yourself lose.
Yeah.
Natalie has this joke with me. She says, if where there's a will, there's a way was a person.
Yeah.
She's like, whether it's I'm fueled by motivation or fueled by spite, if there is something I want done, I'm going to see that it gets done. And a lot of that comes from this quote, because, I have to have hope that something's going to get better, whether that's something I can do to make something work in the short, or it's a long-term improvement.
Sure.
I have to make that happen. And I tell you this a lot. You can't control what other people around you do, but you can control you. And that's strength.
Yeah.
Right. Like having the courage to tell somebody enough is enough, or having even more courage sometimes to go, okay, I disagree with you and here's why. And then presenting, from a mature and like a mature standpoint. I won't say an argument, but a purpose for your disagreement. But those three quotes are huge, especially that last one, because sometimes you just have to tell yourself, I have hope, and that's enough today.
Yeah.
When you're at your lowest, if you can at least tell yourself you have hope, that can be enough for a day.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, not to get super sappy, because I know you hate sappy stuff.
Yeah, miss me with all that.
I know.
No emotions in here.
I know you hate sappy stuff, but like what you had mentioned, at times you can kind of be my Uncle Iroh of like, I text you and I'm like, oh my gosh, I am so mad about these things, and you're like, hey, just like don't,
like,
just like stop.
Remember the music episode? Yeah, let it be. Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I'm glad I can be somebody's Uncle Iroh.
Yeah.
My other good friend, who I won't give her a name, but I met her at a different job. I don't flip jobs a lot, but
here recently,
yeah. I'm making things better for me by finding better circumstances for myself. But I met this good friend of mine through teaching, and we worked together for 2 years. And then in the third year, they brought somebody else onto our team, another teacher. And my good friend, we'll call her Annabelle. And that alone will probably clue you into who I'm talking about. Yeah. Annabelle looked at this new team member and goes, if you ever need someone to laugh at, just kind of watch me for 5 minutes and I'll do something accidentally that'll make you laugh. If you ever need like sage wisdom that can honestly help lift you up through your day, talk to Adam. And I'm like over here, like in like a t-shirt with a cat that has a cowboy on it that says like, you buttered your last biscuit, partner. And I'm like standing there, I'm like, sage wisdom. But no, I'm glad that I can have that on a couple of people. If that's my impact, then that's my impact, and that's what I'm happy about.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, again, I've told you a million times, like all the sappy nonsense and things like that you're in like my core group of friends. So
the big three.
But we'll let everyone argue who the three are.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Kate has like 9 good friends.
Around there.
I know I'm one of them, so that leaves 2 spots left.
For all of you argue among who you are.
May the odds be ever in your favor.
There you go.
All right.
Do we have time for more?
We have time for more.
Okay. So another one I have listed that I know this is going to be a lot of people. Danny Phantom.
I like Danny Phantom.
I love me some Danny Phantom.
Yeah.
So some of Danny Phantom, the reason why I remember it so much is this is another, like, guys have this too. I was about to say coming from the girl perspective, but like guys also have this. Like Danny was one of my first few like girl childhood crushes.
That's funny.
I was like, oh my gosh, Danny's so cute. Like,
did you know he was just 14 when his parents built a very strange
machine? It's crazy. So there's I had written in my notes and stuff like that. I loved this show as a kid, but it was a combination of like, I liked watching it. Danny was like a childhood crush. Yeah. And it was another one of those shows that I watched with my brothers. Usually all three of us like had at least seen parts of it. Definitely me and my middle brother like had talked about it a lot and things like that. The deeper side of Danny Phantom obviously is that it talks a lot about death.
It does.
And you don't really think about that until like, again, like as a kid, I'm like, oh yeah, here's these funny, I made notes specifically in my notes document, like the box ghost. Like
I am the box ghost.
Right. Yeah. The box ghost is like really funny and is like comedic, like timing and stuff like that.
Gag. Yeah.
Right. But then there's other ghosts, like in particular, the one that I immediately thought of because she was one of my favorites whenever I was little, Ember.
Yeah.
That was in like some of the first few, she was in some of the first few episodes, I think.
She had like a guitar or something.
Yes. So she was, her whole story was that she was like a rock star and things like that. But again, little you is like, oh, hey, this is like this really cool, like emo ghost girl that
I hope I find one of her when I'm older.
Right. Yeah. It's like, she's got like this really cool like vibe to her and everything. But then like you think about the actual like story behind all of these characters, and I'm pretty sure it was made like pretty blatantly clear that like she was a failing like artist, that like she wanted to be a rock star and like never made it. And then I think the whole reason she's like Ember and why she's fire is like she died in a fire.
Oh,
like I think they actively like mention that and talk about it like within the show, that like I didn't, again, as a little kid, I'm like, she's got that really catchy song that she sings and everything that I used to sing all the time. Little me. The common thing up and down our driveway on a scooter. There was a few different songs and that was one of them.
Okay. Like concert hall was you on a scooter. Yeah. You mentioned that in an unreleased episode, actually, I think.
I think so.
Yeah, we can never air that.
Yeah.
We may have to revisit it.
But yeah,
to leave our listeners wondering, what could it have been about?
What could it have been?
It's unreleased and it will remain so.
But yeah, that show deals with so many like topics of like death that you don't really realize until like you look back at it and you're like, because even, oh my gosh, what was his name? The main like
ghost.
The main like bounty hunter guy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I
oh my gosh, I can't remember his name, but he was like common and like all like a majority of the episodes is like trying to hunt Danny down. And like you put it into perspective that like how he like passed like would have probably been in relation to bounty hunting, like
something dangerous.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's like every character has their like particular like story, along with I think the parallels between like Danny and then Vlad. Like one of the main like villains, Vlad was such a really good example of like a good villain. Yeah. Like not only was he a villain, but like he had a reason to be. Yeah. And it was really like, I think the first time like child me had experienced a lot of that like cartoon villains are not always just like, I'm bad because I'm bad. It's like, here's this guy that like actively went through the same thing he did. He had his invention stolen from him. The woman he loved was taken by his partner in crime. Like all of these different things, all of these things he experienced. Yeah. So like there's a bunch of different aspects with that too, that I think are much deeper than like younger me would have realized at the time. Along with just Sam as an icon that he ends up with in the end of the show. Danny Phantom, one of the other, depending on how much time we have, one of the others that I have in my list, my last one in my list. It's another one of those slow burn romance arcs that like, again, kid me is like, why don't they just get together?
Yeah.
That like now adult me can appreciate and be like, man, those are like slow burn romances.
That's the move. I've already admitted,
it's realistic.
I've already admitted, like, I'm a sucker for like a good like storybook romance.
Yeah.
Right? I said that in like episode 2 of the Glitchcast.
Yeah.
And it's true. It is. I think that's more realistic than the alternative, actually, like where you know, there's like a love at first sight.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there are people out there who have that. But yeah, the slow burn is, at least to me, is more.
Yeah.
More, I mean, that's how Natalie and I got together.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, hey, I like you. She's like,
I don't know.
After some time, we like got to know each other and hung out. And she's like, hey, I kind of like you. And I was like, oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
I'm going to go out, you know.
But yeah, I remember like little kid me was always just like, so like when and Sam or Danny, like
just kiss.
Like when are they getting together? Like when is this happening? And again, another unfortunate dating fandom was canceled as well. So they had to rush that. Like they ended up having to rush a lot of the slow burn because they ended up like not getting the room they needed to move along. With
and you can tell it gets kind of forced to its conclusion too. And
but with that, my last one is Kim Possible.
That's a classic. I proudly watched every single episode and the movie, not the live action. I think that came out past my kind of
it came out way later
in that show. I watched that though. I liked it a lot.
Kim Possible, it for me, it has multiple things. Not only is it, again, connecting the two together, it has the slow burn like between her and Ron and everything. And I can appreciate that more just from the aspect of like, even their relationship was not perfect.
Yeah.
Like there were a lot of moments in that show where like they just did not get along.
Yeah.
But like still ended up together and showing a lot of that off. And I mean, my graphic for I think Glitch Buddies like reveals this enough. But again, small rural community, I was one of like probably 5 or 6 people with red hair.
Sure.
And
they probably gave you like a role model.
And 2 of those other people were my siblings.
Yeah.
So like in our community, I think there is like only like 2 people that have red hair that is not in my family.
Yeah. Wow.
So it was kind of a role model situation, along with just like Kim did the classic, like girl does things that girl doesn't normally do. You know, she's fighting, she's
the hero.
Right.
Yeah.
So like not only a role model in that aspect, but then like to have people like in school talk about how cool she is. Yeah. And like for me to be like, oh yeah, like me and her both have red hair.
I want to say something on the red hair thing. You know, again, there's a little, not a huge age gap, but a couple years between us. And there really was, when we were growing up, a weird stigma against redheads.
Yep.
And for why? I mean, there's literally no reason. I think that just goes down to like, people want to find something to pick on someone else about. Oh, yeah. And for some reason, the entire internet just was like, sure, red hair it is.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
well, and it's I can't tell you how many times in my childhood I heard the like gingers have no souls.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where did that even come from?
Same. I
such an odd like
never heard that. And then I heard it and then I didn't stop hearing it. And you know what? Still, like with my involvement with like the local music group and stuff here, I still sometimes hear that. And I'm like, what? That's
like, what is the origin of that?
There's going to be some internet research done after this episode,
right?
I'm sure, to figure that out.
But yeah, that was like role model aspect. I even dressed up as Kim for I was in a theater group and we had to dress up as like a character, and and we had to do
So what's the sitch?
Yeah, so it was like silent theater in the way of like we just had to act like the character and people had to guess who our character was.
Oh, okay.
So it was really fun because I essentially like that was when I was in like middle school. And of course, some of Kim's outfit choices I could not wear to school.
Well,
so we still made something work though, and I even changed my ringtone on my phone to be the like and like had like my parents text me a few times while I was in class so it would go off. And it took people forever to guess who I was.
You want to know the big thing that I used to strive for from Kim Possible? The Nako.
Yeah. Yeah.
My cousin and I, the same one who would watch Adventure Time with me, we'd convince my grandma to take us to Taco Bell.
Yeah.
And we would get stuff to make like our own nachos.
It's so fun.
The nacho. The
Not to
taco,
mention, like that show had
the
so many
naco.
so many other like little subtle things and stuff like that too. Like I always loved the Naked Mole Rat.
Rufus.
The
Naked Mole Rat dance.
Yes.
Too. Like the song that was iconic.
But like how many people can say like, oh yeah, I know what a naked mole rat is? Because like this random cartoon was like, guess what? He has a pet and it's a naked mole rat.
It's a naked mole rat. I wonder how many people like tried to figure out how to get pet naked mole rats after that.
Well, and I want to know how many people Googled what they actually look like in real life and were like, ugh.
Yeah, a little horrifying. They don't like do the things that Rufus does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then not to even mention with that show, the villains in it being absolutely spectacular. Shigo.
Shigo is awesome.
Shigo was a lot of male like cartoon crushes.
Okay. Exactly. Yeah. I don't.
My brothers watched Kim Possible with me.
They're like for Shigo.
Maybe. I don't know.
And remember when Shigo's like family got introduced and it was like Higo and We Go and they all had like Go. Team. Well, they were called Team Go or something. And they were like heroes, weren't they?
Yeah. I think
I don't think they operated quite like Shigo did. But no, Shigo was cool. She was a cool villain. I never understood the green power hands thing, like the green fire. I can't
remember that.
They did explore that.
They did. They explained why. I think it was like at one point in time, Shigo was like a superhero, like that turned
like on
villain.
Team Go.
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't know.
But what I liked about that show, was it gave girls a chance to have this sense of like power and authority, right? Because they had Dr. Draken, sure, and he was like a mastermind, but Shigo was the muscle and the violence, and the real challenge was not Dr. Draken.
Right. If anything, Shigo. He was kind of the comedic, like the comedic effect to the villains and stuff like that. Exactly. Versus that was like Kim's real rival was Shigo.
1,000%.
So
yeah. Well, so I'll finish this episode up with a little story. Okay. I told you I'd kind of relate these back. This one's personal. So I know I have some of my percussion students who listen to this. So I'm like, get ready for some Adam lore.
You're going to make me cry in the club.
Maybe, I don't know. But here it comes. So growing up, I was very different. Okay. I grew up in a very athletic town. I'm not athletic. I was majorly overweight. Okay. I mean, I'm round now, but I was like, by the time I graduated high school, I probably weighed 40 more pounds than I do now. I mean, I was not healthy. I didn't do anything to make myself healthy. I didn't care. I was shorter than everyone else in my class. I was on like the bottom end of the height spectrum in my grade. And that was kind of the transition in which it became known that women just want tall men. And I was like, well, that sucks because I can't do that.
I can't make myself taller.
Yeah. And like I said, all athletes and athletics and my interests just weren't sports. Okay. I liked video games. I really liked music, like music presently, but I got made fun of a lot. I mean, I got straight up bullied in school.
Same.
And it sucked. And when in high school, because it still happens, I know, you separate into those cliques. There's always like the upper echelon and then there's the lower ones. I had a lot of friends, quote unquote, in all kinds of different cliques and stuff, just people who were like, oh, Adam's nice, I'll talk to him. But like none of them were like good friends, and you find that out little by little over time through heartbreak and realization.
Oh yeah.
So like when I started to develop interest in dating, okay, I felt very unwanted and very unconfident because, I wasn't interested in the things that the girls wanted. I wasn't tall. I wasn't thin. I was nothing that it was advertised to the girls in my grade or above or below that they would have wanted. So I remember though, I to my face, I had a lot of friends. Okay. Kind of keep that in mind as we go. But, I used to stay up. I don't remember what the app was. It was an app by the most loosest terms. It was a website. It was kind of like that MSN instant messenger, the IM scene and stuff. That was gone by the time you would have had access to the internet like freely out from under your parents and stuff.
Is it Kick? Did you have a Kick?
No. I never got into Kick. Thank goodness, because there's some sketchy things that kind of brought that app down.
Yeah.
But no, this was like I would stay up late kind of playing RuneScape with my friends, and then I would be on video chat with, like, ironically, gonna sound very different than the me I described in like middle school and high school, but with like the popular girls. Okay. And I would convince myself, you know, I had a chance with at least one of them. There was like 5 every weekend. They would stay the night with each other. And for whatever reason, they would be like, we're going to video call Adam. And I would always answer. Okay. And to my face, they were very sweet. And they were very kind. And so because I would do things to like make them laugh and, you know, like me, and to try to be nice. And of course, when they were like, oh, we're having issues with this boy, I'd be like, oh yeah, tell me about it. Like, let's talk about it. I'll listen to you, you know, because I just wanted a reason to talk to them. Not because I was ever like scheming to try to date any of them, because they were out of my league, you know, and I knew it. So I thought I had a chance with them. I convinced myself I had a chance with at least one of them, and I didn't. It was unrealistic. So I used to say and do things to just make them laugh over camera, only to realize like years later, they weren't ever laughing with me. They were just laughing at me. And that sucks. Yeah. And it's really embarrassing. Even like 10 years later, you're like, oh crap, man, that you get that like pit in your stomach. And you're like, wait, it doesn't matter. I don't talk to any of them anyway. And then I remember there was one night I was on camera with this really sweet girl. I'm going to call her Cassandra. Okay. Not her real name either.
Yeah.
Different. She was in like the popular sphere, but different from the ones that I would usually like get on video call. She didn't like go do sleepovers with them every weekend or anything like that. But every now and then we would video chat with each other, and it'd just usually be her and me on video chat. And we'd just talk. And then I remember one night, it was like summer break after like a year of doing this. She gets real quiet and kind of smiles at me. And I remember very vividly, because I remember like that was the butterflies moment for me. You know, like if you've seen the episode of Adventure Time where FP like slaps Finn on the face and he goes, dude, I think I have a crush. That was me. Like I remember her, like she gets real quiet, kind of cocks her head and like smiles at me. And I'm like, what? You know, and she goes, do you like me? And I was like, I got real quiet and kind of like looked and was like, I didn't hear you. What'd you say? And she goes, you heard me. Do you like me? And I remember thinking like, after kind of like back and forth a little bit, I was like, yeah, I do. I like you. And I really did. I mean, I think she might've been my first real crush, you know, like really and truly. But the problem was she was dating probably the most popular boy in my grade.
Oof.
Who stayed that way until we graduated. And she had told me a few times before they had some issues, and he wasn't always like the nicest to her. But, you know, they were like the Troy and Gabriella of our school, except where Gabriella's in High School Musical portrayed to be like a nerd. She wasn't ever a nerd. She was athletic. She was kind of in all of the things, you know, she was in like music. She was athletic, just a very sweet girl too. Cassandra was. And so you could see her face kind of goes through this mix of emotion. She gets really quiet, and I'm like, oh, I did it. Here goes that. We're not going to be friends anymore. She's going to go tell all these people that, oh, guess who likes me? Adam. My last name here, Adam last name. And she's going to just go like, they're all going to make fun of me. And I was like, well, I'm sorry. I'll let you go. And I was like, ready to hang. She goes, no, wait. And you could see on her face, she like did not want to hurt my feelings. And that's why I say she's the sweetest girl ever. Because imagine me like super pudgy, like broken out with acne, long, greasy hair, braces, you know, and she's just doing her best not to say anything to upset me. So she kind of smiled again, and she's like, hey, you know what? If things ever go south with him, I'm going to come and find you and we'll give it a shot.
Aw.
And I was like, whoa. I mean, I was shocked. I remember just thinking like, okay, gotta go, bye. And like, what do you say to that? You're
right.
So I remember like, I was just nervous after that. And I I definitely did not know how to handle that. So in person, I did not talk to her the same way. I tried to like flirt a little more, which she always told me was like really like funny and charming and stuff. And you know what? Things did go south for them.
Oh.
But miraculously, I had met somebody by then. And she and I had this other girl and I had started dating. And we dated for quite a long time. Like my first real relationship, it wasn't just weeks. It was like years.
Wow. Okay.
And she was a very unique girl who matched a lot of my quirks and my energy. And she truly did not care about my appearance. She was very like small and thin and you know, athletically built. And I wasn't. But she didn't care. Like she would hold my hand in public. She'd like take selfies and post them and be like, this is me and my man, you know.
Aww, yeah.
I mean, she was just the sweetest. Again, not going to name her. But like that helped me gain a lot of confidence. And we didn't work out either. I mean, we didn't. We dated for a couple years. And then one night it all just fell apart. And I was sad then. But, you know, kind of going back to some of the things I said earlier, like, it's just like Finn. I grew up and I met someone I never would have known if I had not taken some of the paths I took and made the choices I made, you know, and just like Mac and Blue, I had to do a lot of forgiveness for myself, for my community, for my classmates, for the people who, you know, still to this day kind of use me when they need someone to talk to. But then Uncle Iroh. Right. Going back to the man, the myth, the legend, Uncle Iroh. If the search for your light doesn't yield fast enough results, you know, he said, if you just keep moving, you will come to a better place. And just like I said, I still deal with this stuff.
Yeah.
It's not gone. You know, people talk about me behind my back. I live in a community of just people who like to gossip. It's what they do. It's a small town. It's everyone's main source of entertainment. They know somebody, they grab onto a rumor they heard and they spread it. And, you know, certain things about me that were very untrue and affected other people whom I care about in my life, even reached my students' ears. And at that point, that's just inappropriate that adults would have those kind of conversations with students.
Oh, yeah.
And tell them things that were not true and were completely baseless, but it happened. And it happened for like years of my existence in this town. You know, and even some people that will tell everyone that they're my friend. When I need someone, they're not there anymore. But when they need someone, like, I'm here, you know, and that happens. And it's one of those things you just kind of say, let it go. Be there for the people that need it, you know, but just embrace that they don't always mean as much, or you don't always mean as much to them as they might to you. And honestly, that's as sad and depressing as that sounds, it is also kind of a way to regulate and to be like, I'm good. You know, the river's still flowing kind of situation. And but also all that proves is like the ones who are still here are the ones that matter.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's the lesson I take from all of that.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, it is. You know, and I don't think I would have been able to process some of the things that I processed the way that I processed them without some of these like influences on my life.
Oh yeah.
And who you know, who knew they would have just come from some children's cartoons. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, children's cartoons, and then I'm sure like in the future we're gonna have other episodes and things like that where we talk about connections and everything, because I think me and you should talk about Zelda, because that was essentially how our friendship kicked off. Was,
hey, you like Zelda? I see you have a Navi in a jar, like one of the little jarred fairies on your desk, and I'm like, yes. We're friends now. We're
We're having soft tacos later.
Yeah.
But all of that is to say, I mean, I appreciate that the story you shared and everything. And I think to me, it's important to be known that among like our friendship, I think within all of us, like glitch buddies and all of that kind of stuff, but in particular, like my friendship and your friendship, that I think we both have lived a very So not similar life. We both have had
Sure.
very different experiences, but we both have gone through things that have created the people that we are, which is someone that is really easy to come to and talk to.
Yeah.
And that's always what I've really appreciated about our friendship, is that we do that for each other along the same time, acknowledging like, hey, I know that this is my personality, and like, if this is overwhelming, tell me.
Yeah.
Like, but that we both mutually understand, like, hey,
yeah,
I need to vent, and like, and vent to each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's all we have time for today.
Alrighty.
I want to give a huge shout out to you, Glitch Girl Kate, for kind of going down memory lane with me today. Thanks to our listeners for listening, and let us know in the comments which childhood cartoons you appreciate more now than you might have as a child. If this one brought back some memories, share that with us too. Send this to a friend that you used to watch your Saturday morning cartoons with, and come back next Monday for a new one. Good vibes and lots of love, and we'll catch you then.
See ya.
Tune in on Mondays for new episodes.